In this lecture, I'm going to show you how to create a MongoDB database in the cloud. So here in the dashboard, let's click our application. Go to the Resources tab. Here you can see add-ons. So by default, the applications that we deploy to Heroku don't have a database. If you want any kind of storage, you need to use an add-on. So click this button, find more add-ons. On this page, you can see all kinds of add-ons that we have in Heroku. So we have add-ons for data stores, monitoring, logging, email and SMS, caching, errors and exceptions, search, metrics and analytics, and so on. It's a very comprehensive list. Now, the add-on that we're going to use is mlab. So click data stores. And in this list, you can see mlab. So the price for this add-on starts from $0 per month. However, in order to install this add-on, you need to add your credit card details. So in this lecture, I'm going to show you an alternative way. You can go directly to mlab.com and create a free account. It's 100% free and you don't need to put your credit card details. So pause the video, create an account, and then come back, continue watching. So when you create an account and verify your email, this is what you're going to see. MongoDB deployments, currently we have none. So create this button, create new. Now here we have different providers. You can put your database in AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Azure. The provider you use is entirely up to you. I don't have a strong opinion about these providers. So I'm going to go with AWS. Below that, you can see we have this sandbox plan type, which is completely free. Now, this sandbox in AWS is available in US East and Europe. If you use a different provider, you're going to see a different region. For example, let's look at Azure. So as you can see, Azure has sandboxes in West US, East US, and Dublin. So I'm going to go with this. Let's continue. Select the region. I'm going to use California. Then continue. Give our database a name. I'm going to use Vidley. Continue. And submit order. Now, this is not really an order. It's completely free. All right. Now we have a MongoDB database in the cloud. So let's click this. Here on this page, we need to create a user. So let's go to the Users tab and click this button. I'm going to call this user Vidley user and give it the password of 1234. 1234. Of course, this is a very bad password purely for this demo. Create. All right, our user is ready. Now, on top of this page, you can see our MongoDB connection string. So note that here in the connection string, we have the username and password. So we don't want to store this in a configuration file in our project. We should store this as an environment variable. So back in the project, in the config folder, look at default.json. This is where we store our connection string. So in our development environment, we're going to use this value, but in production, we want to use an environment variable. So we need to map this application setting to an environment variable. So open up custom environment variables, add a new key value pair here. The key is DB, and we can set the value to Vidley_DB. Now, in this particular case, we don't really need to use Vidley as a prefix because in each server, we're going to have a single application. But I added that to be consistent with the other environment variable. So now we need to go back to terminal and set this environment variable to our MongoDB connection string. So one more time, Heroku, config, set, Vidley_DB equals. Now I'm going to go back to mlab and copy this connection string and then paste it here. Now let's change the user to vidly user, then we have colon, and finally the password. So the password was 1234. Okay, our environment variable is set. Now that we have changed our source code, we need to redeploy our application. So first we need to run git add period to stage the files. Then we need to commit them. So git commit -m with a message like this: add support for connection string via an environment variable. So changes are committed to our local repository. Now finally we need to push our changes from this local repository to the one in Heroku. So git push Heroku master, and this will kick off the deployment process. Let's go ahead. All right, our application is redeployed. Now back to the log. You can see our application did not crash this time. In fact, we have these info messages from Winston. So it's connected to this MongoDB and it's listening on port 6357. So Heroku dynamically assigned a port to our application. So now back in Postman, if we send another GET request to our genres, we no longer get a server error. You can see we get an empty array here because the MongoDB database that we created in MLab is empty. So we can create a new genre, but in order to do that, first we need to create an account. So let's send a post request to our user's endpoint. Here in the body of the request, we should set this to raw and application JSON. We should send an object with 3 properties: name, Mosh Hamedani, email, programmingwithmosh@gmail.com, and password, which I'm going to set to 12345. Send. Okay, now we have a new user. So let's go to the headers tab and get the authentication token. Here it is. Beautiful. So copy this. Now let's change the endpoint to /API/genres and change the name of this genre to thriller. And delete the other properties. Finally, we need to add the authentication token here. So x-auth token, paste it here, and finally send. So look at the body of the response. Here's our new genre stored in our MongoDB database in the cloud. And that brings us to the end of this section. I hope you enjoyed this section and thank you for watching.